The federal opposition is stepping up its campaign against the big banks. Shadow Treasurer Joe Hockey says that the increasing dominance of the Big Four needs to be addressed through another major inquiry into Australia's financial system and more power for the ACCC. The federal government has rubbished the suggestion, but Mr Hockey knows that with the bank set to reveal record profits in the coming weeks, he's touched a nerve. Here's Andrew Robertson.
Joe Hockey has used the Australian Industry Group's annual conference in Canberra to do a U-turn on last week's suggestion that interest rates charged by banks to their mortgage customers should be regulated.
I'm not advocating directing the RBA to use Section 50 of the Banking Act to set bank interest rates.
But Mr Hockey doesn't back away from the sentiment behind his controversial statement.
We must have a debate on whether we have lost adequate banking competition in Australia.
Mr Hockey told the conference that with the decline in banking competition in the post-global financial crisis world, the Big Four banks have effectively become the Australian financial system. It's a situation he believes has massive risks for the taxpayer.
The four major banks are too big to fail. As Guy Debelle of the RBA recently remarked, ultimately the public has to serve as a backstop to financial intermediaries, because we cannot afford for the financial system to fail.
Which for Mr Hockey means the Australian government is now in the same position as governments in the Northern Hemisphere who had to bail out their country's banks during the global financial crisis. And he says the expansion plans currently being espoused by the Big Four are adding to his concerns.
We as policymakers need to decide if we want the major banks to be unrestrained growth stocks like resources or technology companies. Or do we want the industry to be more akin to bulletproof utilities that are focused on delivering stable returns to shareholders?
No business conference could be held these days without the impact of the emerging Asian economies being a major theme. It was no different at the Australian Industry Group gathering, where trucking magnate Lindsay Fox urged business to do more to engage with Asia. Mr Fox believes if Australia doesn't broaden its involvement in the Asian region quickly, opportunities will be lost forever.
Well, we can be conscious that all of the people north of Australia are all potential customers. And if we don't take care of our customers, someone else will.
China's insatiable demand for Australia's natural resources is a major reason why the unemployment rate remains so low. It's a headache for companies wanting to expand, and McDonald's chief executive Katrina Noble says innovation is needed to meet that challenge.
When you get people, you really have to do everything to look after them, and really it's not just about the money, and I think that's something you have to recognise, because in these mining towns someone can always go somewhere for more money. It's really creating a culture where people feel a part of the family and really want to be there.
Ms Noble told the conference one of the biggest threats to McDonald's is more rises in interest rates, which will leave people with less money to spend on eating out. It gives her just as much reason as Joe Hockey to keep a close eye on the banks.